Beyoncé breaks down after court confirms Kelly Rowland is Jay-Z's baby's mother. It all started with a photo, a regular picture of Kelly Rowland and her son Titan. At first glance, nothing unusual, but then people started comparing Titan's features to someone else. Someone you wouldn't expect. Not Tim Witherspoon, Kelly's husband. No, they started whispering something wild. He looks like Jay-Z. Now, fans speculate all the time, but this one hit different. You could feel the collective pause. Titan's nose, the eyes, the jawline. Side-by-side comparisons began flooding the internet. And the timing didn't help either. Titan was born in 2014, the same year Jay-Z caught hands from Solange in that infamous elevator footage. People had always wondered what that fight was really about, but now they were connecting dots in a whole new way. And if you know Beyoncé and Kelly's history, you understand why this theory shook people. They weren't just Destiny's Child bandmates, they were childhood besties. Kelly practically grew up in the Knowles household. They were sisters in everything but blood. So if this rumor was true, it wouldn't just be betrayal, it'd be nuclear. Then came the leaked footage. 4K resolution, no room for imagination. A video allegedly showing Jay-Z and Kelly getting, let's just say, too close for comfort. No official confirmations, obviously, but once again, the internet did its thing. Frame-by-frame breakdowns, timeline analysis, people were pulling out astrology charts trying to make sense of it, and just when you think it couldn't get messier, someone brought up Kelly's old song, Dirty Laundry, a track that many dismissed back in the day as just another industry confessional, but now it felt like a confession with a target. The lyrics about being in a toxic relationship, feeling overshadowed, jealous of a close friend's success, it started sounding less like fiction and more like receipts. But this wasn't just about Kelly. Jay-Z's been followed by paternity rumors for years, and none more persistent than the story of Rhymir Satweight, a young man from New Jersey who's been fighting tooth and nail to get Jay-Z to take a paternity test. Rhymir's mom, Wanda, swore she and Jay hooked up back in the 90s when she was just 16 and he was 22. Her claim was always the same. Protection was used, but it broke. She got pregnant, Jay ghosted. Wanda tried to get him to take responsibility. Court documents were filed, letters were sent, nothing worked. Eventually, Wanda passed away and custody of Rhymir went to her close friend. But the legal fight didn't stop. Rhymir wanted one thing, the truth. He wasn't demanding money or fame, just closure, just a yes or no. At one point, Jay's team even reached out. There was talk of mentorship, music industry support, maybe even signing Rhymir to a label. But then, everything went cold again. Lawyers pulled out, silence. People started asking why Jay-Z was going so hard to avoid a test. If the answer was no, wouldn't it be easier to prove it and move on? Then things got darker. If Wanda had been underage when it all happened, that opened a whole new set of problems. Some folks believe that's why Jay-Z's been dodging, because even if he didn't know at the time, the implications now could be serious. And maybe, just maybe, that's also what's happening with Kelly. Because Titan isn't the only kid whose resemblance to Jay-Z is being noticed. There are whispers of other children in other cities, a pattern, the possibility that Jay-Z's empire may be built on more than just music and money, but on secrets. And the one question nobody can ignore anymore is, how much did Beyoncé know? Jay-Z has always been a mystery. On the surface, he's the ultimate mogul, business genius, Grammy magnate, the guy who turned street hustle into billionaire status. But underneath that polished exterior, there's always been something elusive. The man knows how to control a narrative. That's why this whole situation is so off script. For years, he managed to dodge the headlines, slip through the drama, and stay just close enough to controversy without letting it land. But the pieces aren't adding up anymore. Not when multiple women are coming forward with eerily similar stories. Not when Solange goes full WWE in an elevator and nobody explains it. Not when the same man keeps popping up in rumors about secret kids, secret lovers, and secret drama right inside his own circle. Let's rewind to Destiny's Child for a second. Everyone knows Beyoncé was the standout, but not enough people talk about the internal dynamics. Matthew Knowles, BA's father, wasn't just the manager, he was the architect, and some say he made sure his daughter was always center center stage even if it meant dimming everyone else's light, especially Kelly's. There were whispers that Matthew didn't treat Kelly the same. Stories about him favoring Beyoncé, pushing her ideas, her image, her voice, even if someone else brought the concept first. Kelly reportedly got sidelined, dressed more modestly, and often played second fiddle. You could see it. She was right there in the spotlight, but somehow invisible. And maybe, just maybe, that did something to her. Fast forward to 2013, Kelly drops Dirty Laundry. Suddenly, she's telling the world about being in a toxic relationship, feeling like she's always in the shadow, swallowing jealousy while smiling in public. She doesn't name names, but fans were reading between the lines fast. The timing, the tone, it all pointed to one man. And he wasn't just anybody, he was married to the woman Kelly once called a sister. And then there's Titan. Born the same year as the elevator incident, the same year Jay-Z was allegedly caught sneaking around, people started making connections. Solange's fury, Beyonce's silence, Kelly's son, and Jay-Z's long consistent history of avoiding direct questions. Beyonce's Lemonade album didn't help calm things down either. She put her pain on display, raw, poetic, and calculated. Lyrics like "He only want me when I'm not there" / "He better call Becky with the good hair" ignited a frenzy. Everyone wanted to know who Becky was. Rachel Roy? Rita Ora? Or someone closer? But no one expected Kelly Rowland to be added to the list. That felt unthinkable, too personal, too close to home. But fans are pointing to old videos, past interviews, subtle tension. That energy between Bey and Kelly, it's off in certain clips. The way they hug, the way they avoid certain glances. In hindsight, it feels cold. There's even speculation that the public image of their friendship has been carefully curated, that the group reunions, the Instagram shoutouts, the Grammy backstage photos, they're all just brand preservation. Smoke and mirrors to keep the brand clean while the actual relationship quietly deteriorated behind closed doors. And Jay? He's just floating above it all, silent. No denials, no confirmations, not even the courtesy of clarity for Rhymir or the others. It's like he's mastered the art of plausible deniability. Just distant enough to not be held accountable, but never far enough to remove suspicion. People aren't buying the act anymore. The court of public opinion is growing louder and it's asking real questions. Was Kelly just another name in a long list of affairs? Or was she something more dangerous? Someone who knew him too well and kept too many secrets. Kelly Rowland's silence is what makes the whole thing even louder. She's never directly addressed the rumors, never denied, never explained, never even flinched when fans dissected every lyric and every look. But maybe that silence wasn't avoidance, maybe it was survival. Because let's be real, going against Jay-Z and Beyonce isn't just stepping on toes, it's stepping into a storm. Think about it. Beyonce is not just a superstar, she's an institution, the queen bee. She's spent decades building a brand of perfection, loyalty, and power. To be tied to someone who could possibly threaten that image, even accidentally, is a dangerous position, and for Kelly, that tightrope might have been getting thinner every year. Some say her career was intentionally stunted, that behind the scenes, anytime she gained too much traction, someone made a call, that her projects were quietly shelved, her momentum redirected. There were always excuses, wrong timing, wrong sound, lack of label support. But fans now wonder, was there someone actively making sure she never outshined the throne? And Jay? His history with women is well documented but also strangely protected. Liv, the rapper who once said Jay tried to hit on her while out with Beyonce, went viral after claiming Solange gave her a look that nearly made her run. That story could have been brushed off, except Liv later dropped a track, Sorry Mrs. Carter, full of lyrics that were just a little too specific. She wasn't vague, she named names. And yet again, no response from Jay-Z, just silence. This pattern repeats over and over. Foxy Brown, Rita Ora, Rachel Roy, there's always a swirl of drama, a moment of buzz, and then nothing. The machine wipes it clean. PR teams do their thing. The narrative resets. But now that pattern is breaking. People are tired of speculation being swept under the rug, especially when the timelines start overlapping. If Jay-Z was involved with Wanda in the 90s, and Rhymir has been fighting for over a decade just to get a test done, how many more stories are out there? How many kids have grown up wondering if the man they see in music videos might be their father? And what about Titan? What happens if he grows up and starts asking the same questions? If the resemblance is more than coincidence, how long before he starts digging? Because let's not pretend like this generation isn't bold. These kids don't keep secrets, they record them, post them, go live with them. The idea that Jay-Z might have crossed a line with Kelly isn't just messy, it's legacy altering, not just for his brand, but for Beyoncé's too. If it's true, it rewrites everything we thought we knew about that tight, untouchable circle. It explains Solange's rage, it explains the cool distance between Bey and Kelly. It even adds a new layer to Beyoncé's music, turning those cryptic lyrics into confessions hiding in plain sight. And maybe that's why there's so much silence. Not because nothing happened, but because too much did. Maybe Kelly thought staying quiet was the only way to keep what little peace she had left. Maybe Beyoncé knows more than she lets on. Maybe Jay-Z's silence isn't power, it's panic. In the end, it's not about proving every rumor true, it's about the weight of what's been left unspoken for too long, the tension that never fades, the glances that say more than press releases ever could. Sometimes the loudest truths are the ones nobody dares to say, and in this case, the silence might just be the loudest scream of all.